The first pro with this 2023 Land Rover Discovery is going to be the way that it looks. A lot of people are taking notice to this SUV when I roll around in it, and it truly does have a interesting shape to it, right? It's really tall looking, almost like a Sprinter van, right? So if you like attention, you're going to appreciate this, and a lot of people idolize and worship this brand, right? Many people, they aspire to own a Range Rover / Land Rover product. So if you enjoy the vanity of that, well, go ahead. This will make you happy, I suppose. But more importantly, the next real pro is going to be the quality of this interior space. It's put together extremely well. It looks interesting, and I love their material choices. It's not your traditional super soft plush leather and suedes. It's actually a lot more durable materials that we see here, a little bit more rubberized, very unique types of materials. We have this white and black interior. The seats are extremely comfortable, and it has the most amount of lumbar support that I have ever seen with any vehicle. So you can really pile up the miles in this SUV and not feel fatigued. There's no creaking or rattling in here. You have a lot of cubby spaces here, 2 glove boxes, massive armrest. Practicality is not an issue. This 11.4-inch Pivi Pro touchscreen, easy to use. Got wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. Got separate climate control, buttons and switches. That's elegantly implemented, and a banging audio system. This Meridian surround sound system is proper. For 2023, they made the regular Meridian sound system as standard, but the surround is definitely worth upgrading. It's only like $750. You might as well get it. So interior space, really well done for the most part, because the one con with this interior is going to be this center console here. It's very strange that they did not use this nice matte wood design here in the middle. They've just used this regular plastic. It's not really appropriate for a vehicle like this, which costs $80,000. You know, they could have done something similar to the Volvos, right? They have that massive panel of wood in the middle, and that's really elegant, and it would have been great to see in this vehicle, but it's not a big deal. One of the bigger cons is accessing the third row seats in this SUV. They've made it kind of a pain, if you will, because the second row seats, they're operated electronically, and that means you have to turn the vehicle on to access and to move the second row seats. And once you do finally do that, it's a little difficult for adults to get into the third row seat. And that's a shame, because the third row seats in this, it's actually somewhat useful. Again, I'm 5'11", and once I'm sitting back there, I have plenty of headroom actually, because that's kind of the way this SUV is designed. And the legroom isn't awful, because the second row seats, it's mounted up a little bit higher, so I can fit my toes under the second row seats. So that's great. It's nice to know you can use the third row seats in a pinch for sure. I just wish it was a little bit easier to get access to them. The second row seats, it's no Maybach, but you got a decent amount of space for adults fit back there. I'm assuming most people are going to use this as a very practical 2-row SUV, because once you have the third row folded down, the trunk space is absolutely massive, and there is a spare tire. It is mounted underneath the vehicle, so it is practical. It is a big SUV, so that's pretty great. The next pro is going to be with this drivetrain. I love this inline-6 engine producing 355 horsepower and 369 pounds-feet of torque. It's mated to this 8-speed automatic transmission, and we also have a 48-volt mild hybrid system. This engine and transmission, it is so smooth, and you have an effortless amount of power in here. It's no rocket ship by any means. It does 0 to 60 in around 6.2 seconds. But most importantly, the vehicle is smooth and effortless. That's what I like. Even out on the highway, you got plenty of passing power. Stability is good at higher speeds. And you have these massive metal paddle shifters, which do work fine, but just so you know, it's not a quick, snappy 8-speed transmission like you find in the BMW X5. It's a more softer shift, if you will. But you can still use these paddle shifters, like if you're driving in a mountain or something, you have to engine brake and you have to downshift. You can certainly use this transmission with the paddles, no problem. But an even bigger pro with this drivetrain, it's the fuel economy. This thing is rated to get 19 in the city, 25 out on the highway. That is incredible, considering the fact this SUV weighs over 5,500 pounds. Now that's impressive. And that leads me to the next point. the handling isn't awful in here. You know, it's no Porsche GT3, but your everyday handling, you know, your left hand, right hand turns, it's fine. Nobody's flipping over onto themselves. But the con is going to be with the ride quality. Over smaller bumps, this SUV kind of translates those bumps into the cabin space a little bit more. You kind of get this subtle frequency traveling through the chassis, through the bottom seat cushions here, and into your tush. You know, you're kind of feeling those smaller micro bumps a little bit more than you should. I do understand that we are riding on 22-inch wheels here. You can get smaller wheels with this, and that can certainly help. You can get 21-inch wheels, which is probably what I would recommend. I understand you want to maintain the baller looks of this, and the 21 certainly help. But you can also take it down to 20-inch wheels, and that would be the best riding version of the Discovery. We do have here the air suspension, but this is no cloud by any means. You are going to feel those smaller bumps, but the larger bumps, this vehicle absorbs it extremely well. I'm really impressed with that. Speed bumps, railroad tracks, you hardly even feel them. So if you happen to find a Land Rover Discovery near you at a dealership and it's got 22-inch wheels, I wouldn't really worry too much about it. You can obviously test drive it for yourself. I don't think most people are going to be offended by this, but just so you know, smaller wheels are available and can help. You can also sort of forgive that ride quality because this thing is a true champion off-road. That might not mean a lot to most people shopping for this, but you never know. There's a few people that like to off-road in this, and also some people that live in a farm or something, right? And they have this kind of mushy terrain that they live on and have to drive over, and this can certainly prevent you from getting stuck. It's nice to have. It's a good little security measure. This will absolutely do better than any BMW X5 or GLE Benz or Audi Q7 when you take things off-road. So that's really what this brand is all about. If you find value in that, go ahead, enjoy yourself. I do have two more cons to go over, sadly. One of which is, it's the inevitable. It's the reliability of these JLR products. It's still not great, sadly. You know, obviously there are those people that say, oh, I've had my Range Rover for 300,000 miles and I've never had an issue. And I do believe that, actually. I do believe it. But I have been reviewing cars for several years now, and I've talked to a lot of people in this industry, a lot of owners, other people in my comment section who have had not so great of an experience with these products. Even myself, right? Last year when I was testing a Defender, the vehicle literally turned off on me at a red light. It's not the auto stop start. It's actually the vehicle completely shut down. I had to restart the vehicle. That is crazy. And a few other people, you know, they've had their Defender and their Range Rover Sport at the dealership for over a month, 2 months, something like that. Man, that really sucks, you know, having your vehicle out for that long, especially something that's brand new and you wanted to enjoy it. That is a shame. So this company does still need to get it together in regard to reliability, because everything else about it, this is truly one of my more favorite SUV products for sure. It does a lot of things right. If I could afford it, I really don't care. This is so cool. I do like driving around in this stuff, but just so you're aware, you know, if you're really rich like that and you really like this stuff, you might want to consider making this a second or a third vehicle and not necessarily a daily driver. Again, that's going to be on you and your discernment. Obviously, other people have owned these things and have never had an issue, so keep that in mind. The last thing I wanted to mention, it's not a fault of the vehicle, it's just the accessibility and the availability of these JLR products. It's quite slim. It's very difficult to get your hands on one of these products. You can order them, and I have partnered with AutoCompanion. If your local dealership is playing games with you and they're charging way over sticker or something, you can reach out to AutoCompanion. You can order one through him at MSRP, but you will have to wait around a year for the vehicle to be built. So that sucks. Over a year to be built, and there's only a few available throughout the country, and those vehicles, it might not be the spec that you want. You know what I mean? You're paying a lot of money for this and you're not getting the spec or the trim level that you want. That is kind of disappointing. So JLR and Porsche products, two vehicles that are very hard to come by. And that leads me to the other brands like BMW, Audi, Mercedes, well, Mercedes not as much, but Audi and BMW, they have great discounts, especially through AutoCompanion. The new 2024 X5, AutoCompanion is offering over 8% off MSRP on those vehicles. And he's offering like 7% off MSRP on the Audi Q7s. You know, those are still luxury vehicles, prestigious, but offered at way less money. They're cheaper to begin with compared to these JLRs. When you tack on those incentives and those discounts, I mean, you're taking almost 10 grand off the MSRP of those Beamers and those Audis. So that's certainly something to consider. You can order through AutoCompanion because, you know, the availability or the lack of the availability of these JLRs and the higher price tag, it's going to be on you if you still want to purchase it in this automotive climate, if you will. So just in case, I will have AutoCompanion's information down below. If you want to support my channel personally, you can purchase some of this merchandise that I've recently created, hats, shirts, hoodies. You can check that out in the description box as well. I'll have my next video on the end screen here. Click on it and I will see you there.